Like, it's giving, would you still love me if I was a worm? Hi there, my name is Tessa, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the red carpet looks at the 2025 SAG Awards. But before I get into it, a few disclaimers. Obviously, this is my opinion, so it's okay if we disagree, just don't be an asshole about it. And because there are so many celebrities who attend these events, it'd be impossible for me to talk about all of them, so I'm really sorry if I miss your favorite person, but if you do want to hear my opinion on them, just leave a comment down below and I'll try to respond. We're going to be starting off with Leighton Meester in Elie Saab. I have no idea when she went ginger, but I love it. I think it looks so good on her. And the red color goes so well with the swamp green of the dress because green and red just always complement one another. And I love how the silhouette of the gown is pretty simple, but all that beautiful detail really makes it pop. And the little neck scarf is just the perfect addition. I also really love her makeup. It's just so perfectly dewy and fresh-faced. She really doesn't look like she's aged since Gossip Girl at all. And this outfit really feels like Blair Waldorf all grown up. Next is Kristen Bell in Armani. I guess green was really popular with the Gossip Girlies. I do really like this dress because I feel like it has a good balance between fun and formal. Like with the sequins and the ruffles, it really could have gone into tacky territory, but I feel like they managed to toe the line perfectly. My only complaint is her hair, because I just feel like these sort of beachy waves are just too boho for the look, and honestly just feel kind of inappropriate for the occasion. Next is Keke Palmer in Chanel. This is from the 1985 collection and was previously worn by Jamie Lee Curtis in 1986, and I've got to be honest, both women looked absolutely stunning in it. I love Keke Palmer in general. She's just so much fun and has so much fun with fashion, but I do feel like this is a little bit tame for her. And I've honestly seen so many renditions of this fitted gown with opera-length gloves in the past few years that it's a little bit boring, which sounds harsh, but it is what it is. I just kind of feel like I really wanted her to up the ante a bit for this event. Next is Sofia Carson in Elie Saab. I love how dramatic this is. The super long train, the amazing shawl, the giant necklace. It all goes together really well. And I love that they picked a color that is kind of similar to her skin tone, but doesn't totally wash her out, which is honestly a problem I had with some of the other outfits that we're going to be talking about in this video. So I think they really nailed it. The only thing I don't love is the hair. I think it's just a little bit too much, like it's kind of giving helmet, but otherwise this is awesome. Then we have Millie Bobby Brown in Louis Vuitton. This is gonna sound kind of brutal, but it kind of feels like she's giving the great value version of Sofia Carson's look, just in regard to like the updo and the color. It's just not a very interesting look, and in all honesty, with the satin dress and the cowl neck and everything, it's kind of giving bridesmaid's dress, but like a very basic one. And I know there's a lot of discourse about how Millie Bobby Brown is dressing and aging and her makeup and all of that stuff. I don't really want to get into it here, but I will say she does look a little bit older than 21, but you know, maybe that's on purpose. Next is Joey King in Miu Miu. I have no idea who Joey King's stylist is, but I feel like they consistently lead her astray because I so rarely see her serve a good look. Now, I understand the logic behind this dress. It's supposed to be formal mixed with workwear, which is very trendy right now because of the whole office siren thing, but I just feel like it kind of falls flat in execution. There are really two things that really stand out to me as missteps. The first is the collar, which I think should have been white or black. I know that the blue is kind of Miu Miu's signature right now, but I feel like it's almost too casual and doesn't really mesh well with everything else that's going on. The other thing that I don't think really works that well is all of the rhinestones that are on her stomach. It's just a little bit too glam for what they're going for. And I feel like if you're trying to resemble a necktie, then it really needs to be a similar shape as a necktie. You know what I mean? Next is Zooey Deschanel in Armani. I know I'm in the minority here, but I really love this. I know that it's very on the nose, but I feel like it kind of works for Zooey Deschanel's public persona and style aesthetic and all of that stuff. Like, it's very quirky. Then we have Danielle Deadwyler in Louis Vuitton. This was easily one of the standout looks from the entire evening. It was just so unique compared to everything else that we saw. I really love the color, but let's be honest, it's the shape that is really putting in the work here. Like, it's just so interesting. It kind of reminds me of like a lantern, and I just love how structured it is while also having all of that texture from the tulle. It's just really interesting. Then we have Mikey Madison, also in Louis Vuitton. She's basically worn this exact type of dress the entire press cycle for Honora, and I'm pretty tired of it at this point. Not because it doesn't look good, like she's a beautiful girl, so obviously she looks beautiful. It's just kind of boring, and I feel like this is really her breakout moment, and I wish that they leaned into that a little bit more for all of these different events. I don't think that the silver color is super flattering on her, and the bow kind of feels like it was just slapped on there. I really wish they had done something a little bit more structured with it, like made a really sharp, like jutting out point, so it created a really unique shape by her hip. Otherwise, it's just kind of there. Next, we have Selena Gomez in Celine. This might be one of my favorite looks of hers in years. Like, it's so simple, but they pulled it off really, really well. I think the off shoulder is so beautiful, and I like this really dark blue, almost black color. Like, it's very unique. The only thing that I would add is a necklace, but I know that that seems to be unpopular amongst the Hollywood people nowadays for some reason. Next is Marissa Bode in Toni Ward. They're always having fun on the red carpet, and I feel like this is no exception. I really love the pop of color and texture that all these different beads have, but it doesn't really look cheap, which can be really hard when you're kind of leaning into those more kitschy motifs. And I love how the ball gown shape plays with her wheelchair, because it really exaggerates the silhouette even more and really makes her look like a princess. Next is Cynthia Erivo in Givenchy. This is an amazing archive pull. This is from the 1997 Couture collection, which was designed by Alexander McQueen, who had a very, very short stint at Givenchy, and most of his pieces while working there are incredibly hard to find. So kudos to Cynthia and her stylist. For the entire Wicked press tour, Cynthia and Ariana have been method dressing, and I feel like even though this is more subtle than some of her other outfits, I think it does still play into some of the themes and imagery of the movie. Because for me, something about it almost reminds me of hay or straw. So it could be, you know, a reference to the scarecrow or potentially just her broom. And I love that despite it being so much fabric, it's not swallowing her up, which is pretty hard because she's very petite. So they definitely did some good tailoring there. Then we have Ariana Grande in Loewe. So I am not surprised to see her in another pink floral dress that's basically been their go-to because it's so similar to what Glinda wears. And I'm not gonna lie, I was getting a little bit tired of it because it was so repetitive, but I actually think this works a lot better than some of the other ones that she's had in the past. I think that this particular shade of pink is very flattering on her because it's almost a little bit more peachy. And I love how the sleeves and the train are very delicately draped. Like, it's very elegant and feminine without being too cutesy. Now, I do think there's a lot of overlap between this and what she wore to last year's Met Gala, which isn't that surprising considering they have the same designer. But I personally prefer this, but that might just be me. Next is Timothee Chalamet in Chrome Hearts. So Timothee has also been method dressing this award season, and I am all for it because honestly, not that many men in Hollywood really do that, which I think is kind of unfair because it's almost becoming an expectation for actresses, but I digress. I love how this is very Bob Dylan meets Brat Summer, which just makes it feel like a very fun mix of the past and the present. I like that the black leather makes it just a bit edgy, and I think that the fit is really nice. Like, it scrunches in all of the right ways, like doesn't look too tight, doesn't look too loose. And I think that the neon green is actually a really, really fun pop of color. And come on, who doesn't love a bolo tie? Next is Elle Fanning in Loewe. I'm so used to her in these sort of like angelic, ethereal looks that whenever she decides to pull out like a femme fatale moment, I basically die because it just looks so good. She really can do no wrong in my eyes when it comes to fashion. Like, I've yet to see her not pull off a look. And against all odds, she's making me really like the peplum, which, if you know me, I have a bit of a interesting relationship with. I also think that this is styled so perfectly. Like, they didn't go over the top, but the little necklace and the red lip are just the perfect sort of oomph So in my opinion, it's one of the best of the night. Next is Lily Gladstone in Gucci. This is the second time that Lily has worn this dress, and I honestly love that because if you ate the first time, why would you not just do it again? I actually prefer the styling this time around, only because it's a little bit more sleek, which I think works better for this type of silhouette and this type of gown in general. And I just think that this dress really fits them like a glove. Next, we have Fran Drescher, who is wearing, I have no idea. She has also worn this in the past, but this is one of those instances where I think she should have just kept it in the closet because it's not doing a whole lot. At the very least, I wish they had steamed it before she hit the red carpet because this satin is not very forgiving. You can see every single wrinkle and crease, and it just makes it look very inexpensive. Next, we have Kerry Washington in Armani Privé. I love the bottom of this dress. It kind of reminds me of the Lizzie McGuire movie when she's trying to pick out her outfit for the concert and like puts two fabrics on top of each other. Like, it reminds me of that, and I think it's so beautiful. The color, the silhouette, just all the details. But when we get to the top half is when things start to go a little bit awry. For one, I think that the mock neck just cuts her off at a weird place. Like, it almost looks like it's choking her. And something about the color combined with that high neck and the long sleeves just reads as a bit matronly, which is unfortunate because Kerry Washington is a beautiful woman, and I feel like this just winds up aging her in not a great way. I personally think that this would have been gorgeous as like a halter dress, but maybe that's because I love halter dresses. Next, we have Quinta Brunson in Christian Dior. I love Quinta, but this look is not working for her. She's very short, and she just looks like she's drowning in all of this fabric. Like, if they'd just taken it up a few inches, it would have instantly been way, way better. And similar to Kerry Washington, I think there's something about the top part of this dress that just reads as a bit older, like it's kind of giving mother-in-law. Next is Nicola Coughlan in Dior. This is just very classic old school Dior in regard to the color and the silhouette, and I think it honestly looks lovely on her. The problem is kind of the styling. I do not like these opera length leather gloves. I don't think that they work for this look. And like a lot of people, she needed a necklace. Next is Pamela Anderson, also in Dior. This is very simple and subdued, which is kind of what Pamela's been going for these last few years, which is a really stark contrast to how she used to dress in the 90s and 2000s, and very different from what some other women her age are dressing like. I don't know if you've ever seen that old Clash of the Titans movie from like the 1980s, but this particular dress reminds me a lot of what Ursula Andress wore in that movie, which basically means that I'm saying that Pamela Anderson looks like Aphrodite, which I think would be a common sentiment. Next, we have Jane Fonda in Armani Privé. Again, I love Jane Fonda, but she routinely looks a mess on the red carpet, and I don't know why. I think that this color completely washes her out, and these black squiggles are really bizarre. Like, it's giving, would you still love me if I was a worm? Which is really a shame because I actually think that the silhouette of the gown has potential. Like, the tiered, fringed, beaded details are really nice. It just feels like they kept doing too much and needed to really pull themselves back. Then we have Demi Moore in Bottega Veneta. I have loved all of Demi's looks for this press run. Like, she's really giving fashion girly, but this is probably one of her weakest efforts, but it might just be me. I personally do not like how this dress is just constructed, and I really don't like the difference in fabrics because it just feels a little bit cheap, like they just threw something onto the bottom. And I kind of think that the ruffled short skirt on top of the longer skirt just looks a bit messy. Next is Anna Sawai in Armani Privé. From the front, I think that this dress is so beautiful. The color, the silhouette, everything about it. But from the side, I don't love it. And I know that that's just me. I know a lot of people love this look, but for some reason, that really harsh split between the red and the black just reminds me of a piece of nigiri, like, you know, when you have like tuna on top of rice. Like, it's just such a sharp contrast. I just feel like I would have preferred it if it'd been all red. I do love the cheeky little side boob though, like that's always fun. The final look is Moeka Hoshi in Louis Vuitton. Once again, this reminds me just a little bit of the Lizzie McGuire movie, so maybe that's why I like it so much. But I really like the shape of this. Like, it's almost veering into hoop skirt territory, just in regard to how structured the bodice is before it flows out into the skirt. And I just really like the difference in the two textures, like this really beautiful beaded bodice with this super soft, flowy skirt. I think it's just a perfect, simple, and elegant look that for once, I don't think needs any additional accessorizing. So that's it for this year's SAG Awards. Which celebrity had your favorite look and which one had your least favorite? I haven't done one of these sit-down red carpet reviews in like 2-3 years, so my apologies if I'm a little bit rusty. I'm trying to get back into it. But thank you for your patience while I've been blabbing away. I really appreciate it. I am hoping to be more active on this side channel, so if you have any requests or suggestions for types of videos that you'd be interested in me doing, leave a comment down below. I do want this to be a little bit different than the Modern Girls channel, which is very scripted and very heavily researched and honestly very time consuming. I'd like for this to be a little bit more fun. So anything like movie commentaries, red carpet reviews, random thoughts on pop culture things. Again, thanks, and I'll see you next time. Bye!